Hi, darling. Welcome back. As social media has become a part of our daily lives since the 2010s, the concept of a slay queen or a baddie has become a well known phenomenon in South African pop culture and globally. So, whenever we have the conversation around baddies and slay queens, formerly known as slay queens, also known as gold diggers at some point, the conversation is always surrounded by this confusion and this confusion in perception. For example, a lot of the times, baddies are seen as symbols of women's empowerment. And for some, they are seen as a symbol of the degeneracy of society. And that's not what I want to focus on today. I want to focus on this confusion that I've noticed with a lot of South African men, and obviously not all of you. I know. So I was going to say, not me, yes, not you, but there's a huge proportion of South African men who have this confusion when it comes to baddies. I always see it whenever there's conversations around dating and relationships. A lot of men like to mention that they would never want to date a baddie. They want a woman who is humble, a woman who rocks natural hair, a woman who doesn't wear makeup. But at the same time, remember when we used to see people's likes on Twitter? We could literally see these same individuals liking pictures of women who have the fake hair, makeup, the lashes, and BBLs. We see it. Like, I've seen it before, you've seen it before. Go to any one of these individuals' social media following, and you will see the types of women that they follow. So for me, that's where the confusion is. You say you want this natural aesthetic, but the people you promote, the people you follow, the people you give your money to are actually the opposite. So what I want us to do today, I want us to have a conversation around baddies and why South African men, some of them, have this love-hate relationship with baddies. But before we do that, let's define a baddie. As I was doing research in the Urban Dictionary, I wanted to find out, what is a baddie? The definition that I got was that a baddie is a attractive, stylish young woman. I don't like that definition. I feel like the South African context is very different, and that definition in particular is too broad, it's too wide. In the South African context, whenever people talk about baddies or slay queen, they usually refer to attractive young women who wear makeup and weaves and wigs, who usually date politicians, wealthy men, or West African men who have a lot of money. So it's women who live this lifestyle of lavish luxury, and that usually we see that through their Instagram post. That is the definition most South Africans can agree on is a baddie. But before we continue, I want us to watch this video where they try to define what a baddie is in the South African context.
Is a baddie. Let's define a baddie.
What is a
We'll
baddie?
play that video for you.
Let's define a baddie and then
What did Tizu say a baddie is, bro? What did they say a baddie?
God, bro.
Apparently, hey, we don't know, but a baddie is Cardi B. A baddie is
You can give examples.
yes, give it okay.
Cardi B.
Yeah, about Cardi B.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Sexy Red.
Sexy Red.
No, not celebrities.
Guys, okay, what are
Faith
the characteristics gay? So Wuti, okay,
Yeah.
she's
They just bad.
They just bad.
They got the
That is
nails.
everything.
They got the nails done, thick ass.
yes.
BBL.
okay. I don't
Like
want a
Louis
BBL.
Vuitton,
I don't have
Yes.
Louis Vuitton. So
I'm not a
a
baddie.
baddie.
Okay. What is a define?
Boy, basically you've been around the roster. Every area and shit, they know you. Wootsy, whoa, when are you this? You can bait for me, boy can literally finish a whole squad.
Baddie, chief.
Yo.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
no. I think Baddie is all about
You guys,
being bougie.
the aesthetic, the way she looks, you guys can
Tell.
Gucci, okay,
You
she's
can't
a
put
baddie.
a pin on it to say
Yeah.
that.
Go with the big mouth, chief.
Yo.
Bese unyanguza ukuthi if ngibhedi cabanga cabanga.
Dark him too.
Chewing the gum with the nails.
Yes, that one.
Yes.
You know
But
that
sometimes
one.
it's just like
Yes.
but no, but sometimes it's just like nice.
So that's a Baddie.
Yeah, those are very.
Oh, a Baddie, her vocabulary is TikTok only.
Yeah.
Period.
Period.
I want to know,
Period.
Tato, what's your?
It's giving.
Because you asked this question, I'm sure you have your own assumption. What's your assumption on why are people so onto iPhones and all that? What do you think that is the reason
Okay.
behind materialism? And what's your take on it?
It's a social status thing, obviously.
In this next part, I want us to go through the good and the bad about this concept of a baddie in South Africa. And I know it's going to be a broad generalization, but I do believe there is value in those ideas and concepts and analyses. So before I do that, I want us to further deal with the topic of conflict and confusion in terms of desire. One thing that I've noticed whenever there's a conversation around baddies, like I can see the conflict between a lot of South African men's desire for a baddie, but also there's this confusion where they don't want to desire a baddie, but they also desire a baddie. It's like a weird confusion. And I think 3 videos encapsulate this confusion, this frustration a lot of young men have when it comes to wanting, desiring baddies, but also feeling this push to get away from the baddie, the stereotypical baddie aesthetic or lifestyle, or to get away from the stereotypical idea or woman who fits the stereotype of a baddie.
If you want a baddie, this is the video for you. So one thing you need to understand about getting yourself a baddie is that you always need to understand, first things first, is how long you want to get this baddie for. If you want a baddie for a long period of time, then you have to understand that you're going to have the long-term fundamentals. So you're going to need a car, you're going to need an apartment. If you don't have those 2 things, it is impossible for you to get a baddie. Like if you want a baddie long term, then it is impossible for you to get her if you don't have a car and an apartment. Simply because the main thing that girls look for, baddies especially, is lifestyle. If you can give her the lifestyle that she sees on TV of, oh, I'm just moving in with my man, oh, my man's got this, my man's got that, I get to drive in my man's car, oh, she gets to post that video of her like her man's driving and she's sitting in the passenger. If you can give her those things, trust me, you can get a baddie. Secondly, if you're not looking to get a baddie over long term and you're just looking to meet a baddie and pick up a baddie and get a baddie's number, then this is what you'll need. You don't need the house, you don't need the car, but what you do need is that you're going to need a decent outfit, and you're going to need maybe some trinkets, maybe a nice watch, maybe a nice necklace, something just to show the baddie that there is some form of financial security. One fundamental that you're going to need, especially when it comes to meeting a baddie, is that you're going to need an iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, it is nearly impossible for you to get a baddie, simply because a baddie usually thinks that an iPhone is an indicator for financial success. So if you don't have an iPhone, then she'll automatically assume that you are broke. Even if you have, a Samsung or one of these higher quality phones, as long as it's not an iPhone, to a baddie, it's nothing. As long as it's not an iPhone, to a baddie, it's a scam. So first things first, you're going to need yourself an iPhone, because when you pull out your phone, when they say, oh, can I have your number? If you pull out a phone that is not an iPhone at that point, you are done. You are dusted. Baddies are not for marriage. Like if you want to, play with baddies, sure, bro. If you want to do the thing that you want to do with the baddies, sure. But don't make the mistake of dating a baddie or planning to marry a baddie, guys. It does not end well. It will not end well. Like, it is going to be the worst decision you've ever made in your entire life. Just don't, bro. Take my advice. Just don't. And also, like, besides the fact that most of the time, like, she doesn't even know how to cook. Like, yeah, it's very difficult because of that whole independence thing that she's got, and how, you know, your money is her money. And yo, if you just want to end up like broke, like back in your parents' place, and, you know, trying to start a new life again because she's left with all the money, you know, yeah, sure, you go ahead, bro. If you really want to, you know, restart life and start again and start saving up money again, and, you know, have your lobola, get child just like that, sure, bro. But I would not recommend dating a baddie. That is not a great idea.
I want a wife, ne? But not just a wife, like a wife that's like a baddie, you know? Like, there must be something. But now the problem is they don't exist. If it's a baddie, it's 100% baddie. And if it's a wife, you can't take her outside. You must only see her in the dark. So that is our conundrum. That is the problem that we have as bros. It's why we're getting heartbroken, because we think we can make baddies wives. Then boom, pa, nothing. Well, now I don't want my friends to tell me, as long as you are happy when I bring my hand around or when I introduce my hand to them. But I know my brother, as long as you're happy, my brother. She seems like a nice person. I know. When I enter there, they say, "Hi, my brother, yo." Yeah. You see. But now those ones, they don't have prayer. Maybe we must start making a school where we can teach baddies how to be a wife. Apella baddies, they can't cook. They just know how to make eggs and to want and Uber Eats. They just know how to order on Uber Eats. Aye.
The guy that said he wants a Cardi B that's God-fearing, the argument is, guys are like, ladies, is this too much to ask for? You want a baddie that is wife material. What is that? You want a baddie that doesn't cheat.
Yes.
A baddie that's loyal.
A baddie that doesn't like to go to the clubs.
A baddie that doesn't want 15,000 a week.
Actually, a baddie, right?
Yes.
If you bag a baddie, you have actually bagged the most wife material woman that you can actually bag.
No.
I don't know if I can
This
agree.
is coming.
You disagree, right?
This is
I don't
coming.
know if I
no,
can agree. I
this
don't
is coming
disagree, but I also
from a
agree.
baddie.
Why do you disagree?
It just doesn't make sense.
The operators are like, look, man, the problem with the baddies is they bad. We can't make them wife material, but physically it's what we want. Then someone said, go for church girls. Then the chief was also like, even the church girls, unfortunately, they're boring.
Yeah.
And they don't have the baddie thing that we want. You understand?
disagree.
You disagree?
Are you a church girl?
Yes.
You
that's
are?
why I disagree.
Oh, so wait, what? Hey!
What?
I
But she's also
disagree.
a baddie.
You're a baddie.
Are you a baddie?
You're a baddie church girl.
Something like that.
You're a baddie as well?
Look, how can I say? It's inhuman. It all depends. You can be a baddie and a church girl. It just all depends on you, understand? And your standards.
Yes.
There's girls that want to show off out there, and there's girls that choose not to show off.
So you
out
don't
there.
show off.
No.
But
Yes.
it's there, ne?
But
Yeah.
no, but
It's there,
this
chief.
is a baddie wife
yeah.
material, my brother.
This is the one we want, chief. It's finished.
If there's one thing I've noticed in those videos, is that there is this conflict, there is this frustration, there is this confusion with desire that a lot of these conversations are showing, where we see men. Obviously, this is not all men. Please understand this is not all men, because I know there's some people who are that sensitive to generalizations. It's not all men, but it's a huge portion of men who have this confusion, as we've seen in the videos, where they have a desire for these baddie or women who fit the baddie aesthetic, but they also want the qualities of a woman who is more traditional, more humble, more natural, but they still want a woman who has the baddie aesthetic, or they have an attraction to the baddie, but they don't see the baddie as marriage material. And before I talk about the good, about what makes baddies so attractive, and the bad in this concept of a baddie, I want us to watch more videos, and then I will add my breakdown to share with you what I think is the good things that make a lot of men desire baddies, and what are these bad things. But before we do that, let's watch these videos, and then I will add my breakdown.
Wa hafa. O tla ga di blessings tsa hao.
o tla ka di-blessings tsa hao wena.
If there's one thing I love about gents from Limpopo is that they're the only ones who are willing to wife a girl that has been child by Nigerians and blessers. And I don't know what it is, but in the whole of South Africa, men from Limpopo are the ones that are willing to go for girls who have been dating Jolove brothers. And on behalf of all South African gents who are not from Limpopo, we would like to say thank you guys for your service. You know what I mean?
Girls that go to these clubs where there's this wall at the
Opera,
back,
the pink wall,
makes
the
them feel like
baddie wall.
they Betty verified now when they take those photos. You
Yeah.
know? Social proof. That's what I mean.
I think every single woman wants that. And hear me out.
Not
The
all
reason-
women.
No, I believe everyone wants that, but on different levels. On different levels. And Even
Okay, I
but
see.
when you know Kokasi, there's a new, let's say for example, there's a new restaurant that's opened in the Kasi, Kokasi, and like her homegirls are going there, and you as a homie, she wants you to take her there. Not the biggest one, versus a girl who's in Senton and then she wants to go to Jamili, for example. She's never been there.
Yeah.
Like it's social proof on different levels. And it's like, I think it's healthy for a person to want certain things. Like if you don't want social validation, don't you think that like your standards are teka-tekaring to a certain extent?
Nah. But also, what's the level of like these girls? There's someone I was with who like would go to places. She would take pictures. She's not active on social media. She would never post. So it was just for the experience for her. And then there's another side of things where like on social media, like that baddie wall by Opera, the pink one. All the people who are active on social media, the Hans. If you check most Hans profiles who are like curating their profiles, that pink wall is there. It's that thing of when the place is popular now. I've seen Mikhali take a picture there. I've seen Mang take a picture. I
want to
wanna
do
go
that
there.
with open chats.
You don't need social validation. You don't need social
what do you
media
wanna
to
do
get
that with-
social validation. Don't you guys think so?
We want to do that with open chats.
I think even personally, girls will be like, that girl's getting flowers. She's getting the roses with the
With the
200
money.
rand.
With the
You know,
money,
I also want that. I think with women, it's also that. It's there. Definitely. For guys, I don't know.
Guys too.
Guys too. In a different,
yeah.
guys too. You want to go to Jameli and sip whiskey sours or something?
No,
or
I
you
mean
wanna-
by guys too. I mean even guys do dates for
You think so?
for status.
For
Yeah.
status.
The whole concept of wanting a baddie is the biggest social proof you can ever get.
Wouldn't
bro.
you want to date like a girl who has 50,000
You get what I mean?
followers?
Okay, not followers
No,
per
not followers.
se, like beauty. I'm talking from
yeah.
beauty. The concept of a
Beauty.
trophy wife.
Yeah, I don't believe that, but Mto has planted that in me. Now I say it that way.
Right.
The fact that all guys want that. I used to never believe in that. Mto once made me say, listen, do you want, I said that to him, I've got two hands. This one's intelligent, she's smart, she's an average 6, she's an average 7. You know I don't go for 7, she's an average 7. And then this one is a 10. You getting me? But she's slightly giving me an airhead vibe. But she's something. You know what, are you ugly or not? It doesn't matter. But I'm saying it could have a shared an argument there when you're saying the ugly guys are winning. Why are the ugly guys winning? Because they're actually in a point where they actually get to work way harder and attain way more money than the good looking person.
Because you have to get people's
You
attention.
know what I
You have
think?
no
That's the
choice.
equivalent of you saying pretty girls are dumb and ugly girls are smarter.
So, what are these good things that attract a lot of South African men to baddies? The first things that I've noticed is 4 things that I've noted. One of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of the women who are in this baddie aesthetic or baddie lifestyle usually are very hyper feminine and they dress well, they're very well groomed. So let's be honest, people like people who look put together. A lot of the times, the aesthetic of baddies, they usually have their nails done, their hair done, their makeup done. They look almost like perfection all the time. And whether you call it artificial or fake beauty, it is still considered quite attractive to see someone well groomed and obviously being very confident in their appearance and obviously just putting more effort into how they look. People like things that look good. It's human nature. The other thing that I've noticed as well that makes a lot of men attracted to baddies is the symbolism of a baddie. They obviously, a woman who has a lot of social media followers, a woman who's very popular, a lot of people might say they disagree that they don't want a girl who's social media popular. But that type of woman who's very beautiful, this is a story as old as time. Women who are very beautiful have this ability to And I want to be careful when I talk about beautiful. I mean beautiful in the sense that whatever is considered the social standard of beauty at the time, women who fit that societal standard of beauty, usually they bring a certain social status to the guy. A guy with a beautiful woman usually gets more beautiful women because it's like curiosity is like, oh, what's up with him? How did he get this gorgeous girl? So a lot of men, some of them do see having a beautiful girlfriend as a status symbol. So the baddie also is like a status symbol in the sense that out of all the men she could get in her DMs, she chose me. People don't want to admit that, but I've noticed for some people that is quite an ego boost. Another thing that I've noticed about the attraction to baddies is the sexual appeal of a baddie. A lot of these women are very much seductive. They know from the outfits, the body hugging outfits, the way they dance, the way it's just, there is a level of seduction in how they dress and the lifestyle and the appearance. A lot of women who are in this baddie category are known for being very seductive in appearance. Very women who, I don't know if they are aware, but I think they are aware. A lot of women who are in the baddie lifestyle are aware of what usually turns men on visually. So it's no surprise that a lot of them are obviously going to be attracted to a woman who appeals to their sensual senses, if you get what I mean. Also, influence and attention. Having a woman who is attractive is considered to be beneficial for influence and attraction. Like if you look at most presidents, African presidents, American presidents all over the world, a lot of them might have very intelligent wives, but some, majority, just have very beautiful wives. And not to say being beautiful doesn't mean you cannot be intelligent, or it's just that's obviously just a dichotomy that a lot of people cannot deal with, that duality that someone can be attractive but also intelligent. But also a lot of men who are wealthy, they love beautiful things, they love beautiful women. So it's no surprise that also most people like beautiful things. It's a bias that we have for attractive things, beautiful things. So it does also help with your influence and attention, how you walk into spaces when you are with someone beautiful. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of people who are vain in society. So I can say, no, I wish it wasn't like that, that you treated certain ways because of your beauty. But we all know this, that people who are attractive or considered the social standard, they do get treated a little differently from the general public. Like I've heard things that girls have gotten from men just because of their beauty, like money, holidays, just because of their beauty. So let's not act like being beautiful doesn't give you certain privileges in life. Now, let's go to the bad aspects of a baddie that I've noted down. One of the issues about the baddie lifestyle, when I talk about the baddie lifestyle, I'm talking about nightlife, dating wealthy men. Sometimes there are baddies who date men who we do not know where they get their wealth from. It's not a new phenomenon. We've noticed, we've always had people getting exposed on social media for dating people who are involved in some kind of illegal activity. And I'm not saying it's every single baddie who does that, but we know a few. So a lot of the times, the bad aspects about the baddie lifestyle is that sometimes the girls who are in that lifestyle do promote a risky type of life. You are risking your life to be in certain spaces, to risk your health, dating individuals who might put you in harm's way, especially like people who do illegal things. That is a risky lifestyle. The nightlife, nightlife, the fast life, fast-paced life, you have to be very much a person who has a certain level of boundaries and discernment if you are going to be in those spaces like clubs, like nightlife, like the fast money life. You have to be someone with boundaries because you can be manipulated into doing very dangerous things. Another criticism that I've noticed from a lot of men that they don't like baddies is because a lot of them say, oh, it's fake beauty. We know these memes. I've seen a lot of these memes on social media whereby guys will post a before and after picture. Like when you take her from the nightclub and she's Beyonce and you wake up the following morning and she looks like, I don't know, Michael Jackson. I'm so sorry. Oh. But we know those stereotypes where people will just say like you get a baddie in the night and in the morning she looks like someone else. So a lot of the criticisms are also around that some baddies have this artificial beauty. So that's another thing. One thing that I've also noted about the bad things that a lot of men like to mention on social media about the baddies is this fear of competition, this fear of a woman who isn't loyal, a woman who is most likely going to break their view or standards. A lot of men view baddies as a high-risk investment in the sense that they believe like, oh, if I date a baddie, the chances of her cheating on me with a man with more money. And you see that a lot of the times, a lot of men have this insecurity about baddies, especially monetary-wise. I was looking at a thread on Twitter and on TikTok whereby a lot of guys are talking about this phenomenon of ghosting a baddie just because you're broke. Like, there's so many comments of men relaying their experiences. There's so many data points that I've seen where a lot of men agree that they do desire baddies, but they are not financially there for baddies. Here are some of the comments. A lot of men do desire baddies, whether young or old, and it's this fear of competition. It's this fear of being replaceable. It's this fear. A lot of the times the baddie elicits this fear of being replaced, this fear of the fact that she could find a man with money. She could find a man with a better car. And that in itself makes a lot of men very insecure, feel very insecure, or see dating a baddie or a woman who fits this archetype of a baddie as a very high-risk investment. Another thing that I've noted down was the fact that a lot of the times the baddie or the concept of a woman who is a baddie represents a woman who doesn't follow traditional gender standards. Like a lot of the women who are baddies are all about independence. They are all about getting the bag, getting the money. And for a lot of men, they have issues with a woman who doesn't want to do the traditional things, doesn't want to submit to a man because of his character, but only wants to submit to a man because of his financial, I guess, how many numbers are in his bank account. A lot of them don't like the fact that this is a type of woman that cannot be domesticated, for the lack of a better word. Please don't. I know some people are going to come for me, but tamed, domesticated. That is usually the language a lot of people have around a baddies, that you cannot take her out of the streets. Something like that. I think one of the conflicts of desire that a lot of men exhibit when it comes to the idea of a baddie or dealing with a woman who stereotypically fits the idea of a baddie is this concept of the Madonna and WHORE complex. This theory is that a lot of the times some men who have this kind of condition, I wouldn't say condition, but who suffer from this kind of mental framework lens of perception, is that a lot of the times these type of men cannot view women that they find sexually appealing as women who they would wife. There's a video that I saw that also explains this concept, and let's just watch it.
They have so much to learn about themselves by understanding what the Madonna-whore complex is and how it applies to them. There's a quote by Sigmund Freud that says, "Where men have love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love." So this is a psychological complex in which men struggle to reconcile that there can be a nurturing, mothering, in their interpretation, pure state of a woman that exists while she also owns her sexuality. It's also important to remember that this is a psychological complex in men, and that's where the problem lies, not with women in how they conduct themselves or choose to express themselves. So we can see the school of thought perpetuated in religion, white supremacist dress codes, and porn, where women are either too pure to be touched or sexually autonomous and therefore automatically seen as promiscuous. So men struggle to reconcile the two because they can't see both existing in the same woman. Men with this complex sit in a state of confusion because they desire one and idolize the other while secretly wanting both, but they can't see them exist in the same person.
This is not to pass judgment, because I do believe that experience shapes a lot of how people view things. So I do believe that some people, some men and some women cannot distinguish, cannot deal with nuance. Some people can only view things from black and white and not the nuance. So a lot of the times people cannot believe that a woman who is visually appealing could also be a woman of good moral standards, a woman who is well behaved according to certain maybe religious ideals or philosophical ideas of morality. A lot of the times, a lot of people cannot fathom that a woman who dresses a certain way in revealing outfits could be an actually good person who just enjoys dressing up and enjoys their sensuality. A lot of the times, if people see you, they will assume that this person is the promiscuous and this person who's covered up is the innocent, the humble. And it's not to say that that cannot be true in some cases, but to see the world in those lenses is very limiting, because I know a lot of people who are very attractive, women and men, but are actually people with low body counts, people who are well behaved. The idea that people who look a certain way or women who fit the baddie aesthetic are put into the WHORE category is just to show you how some people have this limited framework of that they cannot imagine two things coexisting at the same time. They cannot imagine that a book, let me see, the concept of a book being blue on the outside but having multiple colors on the inside. That is how I see a lot of human beings. A lot of people do have that complexity where some people might look a certain way, but when you actually talk to them and you live with them and interact with them, you realize they don't fit that stereotype that you've created in your head mentally. Another concept is the Freudian concept, or the psychoanalytic concept of the preconscious, subconscious, and unconscious. I want to deal with the unconscious. I think a reason why a lot of South African men struggle with their desire for women who fit into this baddie aesthetic, where it's the conflict of wanting an innocent girlfriend or a baddie, is because history builds you, your history, your upbringing builds you, and a lot of traumatic memories. Being rejected by that pretty girl in high school, seeing those people who were more, I guess, socially being people who are able to just socially navigate interactions with the women earlier on in life. that trauma for some people gets backed into their unconscious. A lot of the times people don't realize that we are controlled by our shadow. Our fears, our anxieties are controlled by things we cannot easily access mentally in our heads, like immoral urges, desires, the fantasies that might be considered socially unacceptable. A lot of those things are put into the unconscious, and a lot of people don't realize that the unconscious rules a lot of the decision making. So even though mentally, logically, a guy might say, I want a woman who is humble, who is virtuous, who is innocent, whatever you consider innocent, they still have that side of them, the unconscious, almost like this animal instinct side of them that desires a woman who is adventurous, chaotic, wild, untamable. And I see that because even when I was doing a bit of studying, there's a part of our brains that is actually created for processing or moderating or facilitating sexual responses. There's literally part of our brains that are responsible for sexual desire. And I think the baddie, or a woman who is very seductive, sultry, and all that, has the ability to trigger those parts of the brain. That's why a lot of guys are confused, because they're like, this is not healthy for me, but this is good for me, but I want the thing that's not healthy for me. It goes to the concept of even like gambling. People who gamble, it's like they know that there's a risk. It's like dating someone who you know is risky, because when it's good, it's good. The chances are you do this, you put in the money, you get good positive feedback. You get good positive feedback. She's wild. She's doing all the nice things for you. But you know that once the money runs out, you can't feed that addiction. You can't feed that desire without the money. So I do think of it in these concepts. I'm not saying these are accurate or 100% truth. I'm saying this could be potential lenses where I can try, or you can try together, to understand desire. Why do men have this love-hate relationship with baddies? It's from a unconscious level. It's from the Madonna complex. It's from basically even a biological, to an extent, from a biological concept of how our brains as human beings are wired. At the end of the day, I don't think because it's a tale as old as time. A lot of the times, I do believe that some men desire baddies for short-term things, short-term fun, and some men do desire them for long-term, because the idea of a gold digger is very old. Like, women who've dated wealthy men are known throughout history, throughout time. And one thing that I can say, it's not the woman who is this desire, this object of desire. The baddie is a concept. It's what she means that is desirable. She means I have reached a certain monetary standard. I think a lot of the men who desire baddies, it's also because if you have a baddie, it means monetary wise you are successful, money wise you are successful. Human beings, it's not to say, the thing that I want us to get from this video, I don't think beautiful women are only baddies. I don't think you only have to date baddies to have beautiful women. But it's what that woman means that makes it so desirable. It's the same concept as to why people would buy a bag. People would not buy a bag, usually without a brand, but a bag, they would pay more for a bag that is branded by Louis Vuitton, or a shoe that tells a particular story. It's the story, it's what having this thing means to you. That's why I was like asking myself, why don't these individuals go for I have normal, beautiful women who are not into this lifestyle. And I had to realize that it also for some, it is what this woman means. Is she is a status symbol. She's a symbol of that I've made it in life. But I also think the phenomenon of baddies wouldn't exist if we didn't have such a problematic employment system in South Africa. Throughout the years, we've been continually getting, the unemployment numbers are increasing. Right now, it's almost at 60%. 60%. So I'm not surprised that some women do realize that they can leverage their beauty in the economy to make money. So it's not to vilify the baddie. This video is not that type of video to say, oh, baddies are the bad guys or men are the victims. It's not that type of video. I wanted us to get from this conversation and analyses of how all this is connected. It's connected to the changes in society. It's connected to mental health. It's connected to the economy. It's connected to people wanting to be perceived a certain way. It's connected to unemployment. So, what do you think? What do you think about this love-hate relationship a lot of South African men have with baddies? Do you think it is accurate to say, or do you think, just tell me your opinion. And if you got to the end of the video, please leave a money emoji in the comment section. Thank you for watching, darlings. Bye-bye.